Hi, and welcome to Something to Talk About. I'm Linda McNamee, and for the next hour, you are going to find all about the James Gang, which is something I had never heard of until recently. So definitely want to raise awareness. Excellent organization, wonderful cause, and you'll find out more momentarily. But as always, I would like to thank the, before I thank the crew, I would like to invite you to email me at talk@bcattv.org if you have a suggestion for a future topic or just want to say hi, go right ahead. I would like to thank the crew for this evening. Chris Flaherty and Varys Connolly are staff members, I think Varys is still here, who make sure all of us volunteers know what we're doing, everything goes off smoothly, so I do want to thank them. I also want to thank the crew for this evening, Jesse O'Regan and Gwyneth McNamee, who are members of BHS TV, and they've given up their Wednesday night to come hang out at BCAT. Last but definitely not least, I know it's not daddy date night anymore, but it's become a tradition. So I would like to thank my husband Paul for staying home for daddy date night, even though there aren't any kids to hang out with. But anyway, I would like to thank him. Now, all housekeeping aside, I would like to introduce my wonderful guest, Lauren Anderson, who I forgot to double check with you. Are you the founder of the James Gang?
I am not.
Nope.
It's my cousin Steve, but I am a board member and I have done a lot of volunteering the past year with them, filling in different roles.
Yay, well, welcome. I suppose I should turn the page to my questions so I know. Before we get into the mission and the vision of the James Gang, I'd like to get to know you a little bit more.
Sure.
So if you can let the audience know where you grew up, how you came to the Burlington area, and then we will get into how you got involved with the James Gang.
Sure. So my name is Lauren Anderson. I grew up right next door in Bedford, Massachusetts.
Okay.
I have been in Burlington now for about 10 years. So my mother, along with her two sisters, were raised in Burlington, so I now actually live in the house where they grew up.
Cool.
Which is very cool.
There's a lot of people in town that do that.
Yes.
Cool.
So my two aunts raised their families here in Burlington as well. So my cousins, who are also super involved with the James Gang, we all have strong ties to the Burlington community. I have 3 kids, one who is in Pine Glen, and then 2 younger boys who will soon be in Pine Glen.
We were a Pine Glen family too, so I have a nice warm spot in my heart for Pine Glen. So tell me about the James Gang. I know we're already going out of order, but
That's fine.
It is a nonprofit, it's a 501c3,
Yes.
but it didn't start out that way.
No, it did not. So the James Gang actually just started out as our team name for the Best Buddies Hyena Sport Challenge. So that organization we've been involved with for over 25 years. My brother James is intellectually and physically disabled. So inclusion has always been a core value for my family, and Best Buddies was a great way, for us to be part of that. So as James has gotten older, though, and aged out of the school system, we found that there were less opportunities for sports, recreation, and community involvement alongside his peers. So we created the James Gang as a way to create more opportunities for inclusion, specifically for this adult population with intellectual disabilities.
Now with sports, I know your website mentioned like running, road races, running, and cycling. Is it all sports centric, or do you have like other outlets for socialization and opportunities for intellectually and physically challenged adults? Do you
Yes.
just focus with adults, or?
Mainly focused on adults. We're obviously open to other things as well. Some of the stuff I think we're going to talk about later on, we did include more than just the adult population. Right now, our primary focus is on sports and recreation because we really see that as a gap, but we're open to other things as well.
Okay.
So our grant program, a few of the things we've done are like buy a basketball hoop for a day hab program.
Oh, cool.
So that allows those clients to go out every day and get to be outside and have something to do with each other and an interaction point with the personnel who work there and the other participants in the program.
Neat, because when I was like looking at your website, I just thought maybe you personally, Lauren, love to run. So you're like, oh, I'm gonna do, so, but now that I see that there's a tie between this is where we're fulfilling a need.
Yes.
So.
And it is a need that James is particularly passionate about, so there's a lot of alignment there between our family's passions and then where we see this gap.
Love it. So on your website, you mention that James was diagnosed with NARS-1?
Yes.
How did you first learn about NARS-1 as a genetic disorder?
Yeah. So we first learned about NARS-1 in 2020 when he got his diagnosis. He was 29 years old at the time. Yeah. So we waited a very long time for that.
Okay.
So at that time, NARS-1 had just been identified as a pathogenic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So a mutation in that gene was now identified to cause symptoms, to be symptom causing.
Oh, okay.
So he had undergone numerous genetic tests throughout the year, but they came up empty-handed. He had profound intellectual and physical disability, but we just didn't have a definitive cause or a reason. So this breakthrough finally gave us a name for it and a community that we could connect with.
It is really rare. I don't know if it was your website or one of the links from the James Gang website that said there's only like 50 people in the entire world.
Yes, so there's only about 50 people currently diagnosed. Doesn't mean that there's not more out there, but 50 diagnosed. And James is actually the oldest that we know of so far, which is really cool. Yeah.
Now, some genetic, what do we call it? Disorders? Disability?
We call it NARS-1 gene disorder.
Okay.
Yeah.
With this particular gene disorder, is there known to be like a shorter lifespan?
I think it's very unknown. We don't know, and it depends on your type of mutation as well.
Okay.
So we do know of an individual that passed at a very young age who had a different mutation than James that was very severe. We know a number of individuals with James's exact same mutation, and they all have very similar symptoms, and it doesn't seem to impact any of them health-wise. They are left with physical challenges and intellectual challenges, but their health is good.
Okay, because with as soon as you start dealing with genetics, you never really. It's pretty complicated.
It is very complicated.
It's very complicated. Are there therapies that are available or medications to help with either the signs, the symptoms, to help James live a more comfortable life?
Yeah, so there's nothing specifically at the moment for NARS-1, which is part of our mission and part of our collaboration with another organization to further that research.
Okay.
But right now, it's just about managing symptoms. So many individuals would benefit from occupational therapy and physical therapy. Many might be on medication to manage seizures, which are very common with the disorder. James is fortunate enough to not experience that, but many do. Many can have feeding challenges or speech, so they will go to therapy specifically for those issues.
Okay, all right. So am I missing anything about NARS-1, or could we move on to the James Gang?
I think we can move on.
Okay. You mentioned that it's named after James. And when did you first establish the team? Was it I know you just told me this, but to run a particular race? Were you like getting ready to run the Boston Marathon or something and say, hey, let's raise money and we'll call ourselves the James Gang?
No, so it actually goes back to a bike ride. Best Buddies Hyannis Sport Challenge. So my dad just completed his 25th ride, which is amazing. Yeah, he started out with the 100-mile ride, and now he does the 20.
With 100?
Now he does the 20, which I think is a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
And as we were more involved with that organization, we had other family members that wanted to do the ride too. So we said, let's
cool.
have a team. And my dad named it the James Gang.
I love it.
And then as we went to go become a nonprofit, it was just a natural. We need to keep this name going.
I love it. That is so cool. So you're raising money. Now, when you participated in the buddy ride, the Hyannis ride, were you raising money specifically for NARS 1, or was it going to Best Buddies?
Yeah, so it was all going to Best Buddies.
Okay.
At the time, I think when we started, James would have only been about 7 years old, so we were
Okay.
very far from a diagnosis at that point. And we were also very involved in Best Buddies, so I was a peer buddy in high school, and my sister was as well. And then James participated on the buddy side, so we were all paired up with an individual.
But you weren't paired up with siblings.
No, someone who attended the lab program, at our school. So you got to pair up and form a friendship with them. So you would do something outside of school, maybe once a month, and then you would do like a weekly lunch with them. It was a absolutely great program. So we participated in that for a number of years.
Okay.
They have a college program as well, but as he aged out of the school system, it's just a little harder to get him there. He's not as high functioning as some other individuals. So it's still a fantastic organization, but just a little bit more difficult to be part of it.
Okay, because I'm thinking they hopefully provide like transportation or something.
Yeah.
Because if you're getting together with your buddy and you don't have a wheelchair accessible vehicle, then what do you do?
Right, which is definitely
Kind of
another
limits
challenge.
what you can do with your buddy.
Yes.
So you started raising money. No. Yeah, how are you raising money? Was it just through Best Buddies or?
Yep, just through Best Buddies, just through the ride. So just, sending out newsletters that we were doing the ride again this spring and getting donations from family members.
And what made you decide to expand?
Yeah, so that was back in 2017, and we actually decided to do it so that we could grow our Best Buddies team, and we wanted to hold this annual golf tournament. So we started doing that, and we got more members to come out.
So it was like
the bike
golf
ride.
and,
So it was golf as our fundraiser, with our nonprofit being kind of the overhead and the ability to do that.
How do you go about creating a nonprofit? Wake up one morning, I'm going to start a nonprofit.
Yes.
Because you need the board and you need...
You do. But I think you tackle it as something small. You don't shoot for having a huge organization that is, having fundraisers every month when you start out. You start very small. We started with just one fundraiser a year and one event, which was the Best Buddies bike ride.
How do you identify like your board? Or your board? You mentioned that you're on the board. So how big is the board? Do board members rotate?
Yeah.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah, so right now our board is, I think, 6 individuals.
Okay.
And we've been on it for about the past year, this group. And we'll stay on for as long as, people are able to. Obviously, life changes, and sometimes when you're having kids and things like that, you need to take a step back. We fortunately haven't had to address that yet, but at that time we can bring in
another
more people.
10, 15, 20 years.
Yes.
You never know. Mission. What is, because when you become a nonprofit, you have to have the whole mission statement, the mission, the vision, and the board and all that kind of stuff. So what is the specific mission? Is it just raise awareness for individuals? I'll let you answer the question. I'm not going to guess.
So we have a 2-part mission. The first part is to create and promote opportunities for inclusion for adults with intellectual disabilities, specifically through sports and recreation. And the second part is to raise awareness for the NARS 1 gene disorder.
Okay. How widespread do you reach is it limited to Burlington, Bedford, all of Massachusetts?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we're still pretty small, and we have a lot of ties to the Burlington community. So this is primarily our focus. My brother lives in Bedford. I grew up there too, so that's certainly part of it as well, the surrounding community. We would, of course, love to, spread as wide as we can, as we grow.
Have branches in the front, I completely forgot what I was going to say. Okay, let's just continue to move on. Running and cycling events, because you're all sports enthusiasts. James loves sports and just very enthusiastic himself. Boston Marathon.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
That was an incredible experience. So we were very fortunate. We applied to be an official charity, and we were accepted for the 2024 marathon.
Oh, so it's like real new for you guys. Oh,
yes, this was our first year. So we got 2 bibs as part of our first year that we could use for fundraising. So James and Liam got to compete as a duo team using one of them.
Okay.
But we were very new to the process. So when we got accepted, we found out that you needed to show that you had completed a marathon together within the past year window, and that window was closing in about 5 days. So Liam went out with no training and no warning and pushed James in a marathon in Hingham. He finished under 6 hours. It was an incredible testament to his determination and the bond
I really
he
hope
has
he
with
was
James.
a runner before he started.
He really wasn't. James has actually he was an athlete, but James has really inspired him to take up running. So
hopefully he trained a little bit more before
he got to train a lot more before Boston, and that was an amazing day. The weather this past spring was incredible. 70 degrees. I don't know that Liam loved it after training all winter, but we loved it watching, and James loved it. It brought out, I think, huge crowds. The finish line was, 4 or 5 rows deep, which was awesome, and we could see James's head just spinning from side to side, taking it all in, flapping his hands, getting the crowd, getting the crowd going, and we were able to raise over $40,000 as part of that campaign. Yeah.
What is the minimum that you needed to raise?
So we had to raise $5,000 per bib, so we had to raise 10, and we were a little nervous about that. We thought, our golf tournament brings in 10,000, but we found out in September and the marathon's in April, we can't hold a golf tournament in this window. I mean, we live in New England. The weather is
can't really do a golf tournament in January.
Nope. So we were like, how are we going to do
Although we didn't get a lot of snow this year, so
we didn't. But of course, we didn't know that ahead of time. So we were quite nervous about raising 10,000, and the community showed up and
did you do
of support. So we had a couple of events.
Okay.
We had an event at the American Legion in January. That was a raffle and a dinner and an Irish band. James especially loves the Irish music. So we had a great time, raised about 10,000 at that event.
Wow.
Yep. And then...
so boom, you're done.
I know. But we don't like to, I am a very goal-oriented person, and I like to keep going and keep pushing it. So we kept going, and we had one other event at the Made in Burlington shop with a medium that brought in some money, and then just straight donations from our wonderful friends and community members. We got to do a little news segment on Channel 5. I think that brought in some donors too, so we were blown away. We never expected to be anywhere near that number.
So you said James and Liam?
Liam, yes.
Had 1 bib, but you had 2. How did you determine who got to have the second bib?
I know, that is a difficult question because there are many very deserving people. So we had one.
If you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to talk about it.
We had one individual that has done the Best Buddies Challenge with us, a very close family friend, for many, many years, and raised a great deal of money. And he is a runner and
had more experience than Liam did when he applied.
So he was able to use our other bib and help with our fundraising. Yeah.
Excellent. Intentions to do the Boston Marathon in the future?
We have applied as an official charity for 2025.
It's not like automatic.
It is not. And I've heard it's a little different. because it used to be run by John Hancock, who was the sponsor,
Yeah.
and when it changed over to Bank of America, the Boston Athletic Association is now involved in the selection process.
Oh,
So
okay.
no one's really sure what to expect. So we all had to reapply this year, every charity. So
Now,
that
is
went
this Bank of America's first year?
in 2024 was their
24,
first year
okay.
as a sponsor. So that was the first year it changed. So we got in
Okay.
for that one. We had to reapply this year, and we've been told we'll find out in early October. So coming up on it.
Got it. I used to volunteer for the Boston Marathon. I only did 3 years, but it was still like 20 years ago. So I'm sure things have changed. What about some of the other road races that you've done?
Yeah.
Well, not you personally, but
Yeah.
the James Gate.
James. So James definitely gets around with his road races. He has done Falmouth a number of times.
Ooh, okay.
Liam has pushed him 4 times. My mom has pushed him, and my dad has pushed him in that race as well. He did a marathon with my mom back in 2017. They did the Lowell Marathon together.
Oh, cool.
He has done a marathon with my cousin Kevin. They did that down the Cape
Okay.
last fall. And then he's done some local road races as well.
Sweet.
Yes.
So how is, I don't know if, just listening to you, so I don't know if you'll be able to answer this. How is training and running by yourself different than training to push a wheelchair?
Right, and I may not be the best person to answer that question because I've yet to push the wheelchair. It's on my bucket list. I'm sure I will at one point.
Probably not first off the Boston Marathon.
No, we'll start with like a 5K or like a run
Okay.
around the block, but it's very different. So Liam was telling us in the Boston Marathon, the first 10 miles is downhill, and for a
And
runner,
the last 16 miles is
it's uphill. So we were all focused on, wow, pushing a chair uphill is hard, right? You know, it's trying to push you back down. But he said, no, running downhill was so difficult because you're trying to hold the chair back from taking
You don't want it like runaway train.
right, from
Wow.
taking you down the hill. So that definitely presents an extra challenge. When you're running by yourself, you don't have to worry about that as much. And you, of course, don't have to worry about the individual in the chair, you know, making sure that all their needs are met.
Okay.
Despite that, I think people have a lot more fun when they get to push him because he is so enthusiastic and you cannot give up. You know, Liam said,
Right.
there's no way I can stop, right? I have to
Right.
finish this marathon. I have to keep going so
won't
he
let
can
me
keep
give
cheering.
up.
Yeah, we got to get to the next cheering section, like going through the Wellesley Tunnel. We have pictures of him giving high fives to all the college
Oh,
students.
Cool.
So I think it is more motivating while still being more challenging.
And it's got to just, the energy just feeds off itself.
Of course, yes, yeah, the adrenaline, and you know, he's just smiling ear to ear. I know you can't see that because you're behind him, but you can tell from the crowd.
Oh, cool. How do you determine who runs? Because you do have like that rotating cycle of runners.
Yep,
Is it, hey, who wants to run?
pretty
or is
much.
it like, you did the last one, so you, yeah.
I think there's a few races that we do every year,
Okay.
like Falmouth, and that started out as my mom and dad running, but as they've gotten older, that's more challenging for them to do too, and to push a
Okay.
chair. So my mom recruited Liam over to start pushing him in that one, so he took over that role. For other ones, it just comes down to like a family member or friend wanting to challenge themselves with a certain race. James is never going to say no. We're never going to say no to him going because he enjoys it so much. So it's not competitive in that way. You know, we'll do as many as people want to do.
When you first started participating in the road races, how were you, what is the process to get James a special running wheelchair?
Yes.
Because looking at the photos, it's definitely not what he uses every day.
No, it's not. So it's a specially designed Hoyt racing chair. So it's
Okay.
the same type of chair that Dick and Rick Hoyt used to use to run the Boston Marathon. It is manufactured by a local organization down on the South Shore. So James's very first marathon, he was actually pushed by someone that we met at the Best Buddies Challenge, and he had a connection to the person that made these chairs. So he was able to get us one, and we had never pushed him in any sort of road race. And once we had the chair, my mom was like, I think I can do this. You know, I want to push him in a marathon. So that is how that kind of got started.
Go big or go home.
Yes,
you know?
yeah, that's kind of her personality when it comes to running.
Now, did you have to raise money for the chair? Because I can't imagine these being like inexpensive.
No, they are not inexpensive. We were fortunate enough to have it gifted to us.
Cool.
So very thankful for that.
All right.
We've gotten good use out of it.
Yay! And it just keeps going, you know. Let's talk about it now. We'll talk about it now. What's your next race?
Our next race is our 5K right here in
Your
Burlington.
5K.
Yes, on September 29th. It's a Sunday at 9:30. It is going to use the same route that they use for the turkey trot that I think most in town are familiar with.
Oh,
starting and ending at the high school. It's a nice, easy route up Lexington Street. We are going to have a lot of people cheering. We're going to have refreshments from Wegmans, donuts, pictures, professional pictures at the finish line, race t-shirts, and some music too. We have a DJ/MC coming to, you know, pump up and just make it a really fun community event.
How did you go about oh yeah, we've done Falmouth a few times. Let's do our own.
So like I mentioned earlier, we have had this annual golf tournament for a number of years, and we love that day. It is awesome to see the community involvement and family and friends coming out. But my mom and I are not golfers. We are runners, and we have a lot of connections in the community that are also not golfers, but runners. So we have been kind of toying with the idea of having a road race for a few years. So coming off the Boston Marathon and the momentum for that, we thought if we're going to do it, this is the year we got to do it. We got to try it out. And we had no idea where to begin, even with who do we go to first. And thankfully, the town of Burlington has been so helpful. And go to the select board, and here's your contact at the high school. So we have been able to kind of weave our way through the process.
Excellent, because I'm like, police details, because I'm guessing that you're probably going to want a few road closures.
Yep, we'll have a police detail there as well. So we're really looking forward to it. I think everything is coming together.
How would someone go about participating, either as a run? Is it too late?
No, it is not too late at all. We welcome runners, volunteers, and sponsors. So all the information is on our website, teamjamesgang.com. And if you would like to volunteer, there's an email address there as well. Shoot us an email. We are happy to have you.
What kind of volunteers are you looking for, like water stations?
Yeah, we are. So we are fortunate to have the girls cross country team actually helping us out too.
Perfect.
Yes, it would be awesome. And then we're also looking for people just to stand at some of the turns and make sure the runners go the right way. We probably will need help handing out food, handing out registration, and just kind of dealing with day of activities. So we welcome anyone that would like to be there.
So that's for volunteering.
Yes.
What if they want to run?
Yep, so the registration link is on there as well. We're using RaceWire, which is a pretty popular chip timing system. So you'll just fill out their form for registration. And
is there a minimum what is the entry fee?
Yes, I think right now it is at $35, which will go up like at race day because it's a little harder for us to get someone registered. And that comes with a t-shirt through about tomorrow. I gotta submit the order. So if you want to register you can do it tonight or tomorrow.
We'll run for a t-shirt.
Yes.
I was just gonna ask something and it totally slipped my mind again. I'm really good at doing that. I'm losing my train of thought. Sponsorships.
Yes, we have that information on the website too. Again, we are coming down to kind of the end on that because we are printing the t-shirts and stuff. So, but we're open to other collaborations. If there's something else you want, because we've already printed the t-shirts, we are very open to any company or organization that wants to be involved as a sponsor.
Okay, and then starting to plan for next year?
Yes, a little bit. We just had our golf tournament at the end of August.
How'd that go?
No, that went great. Awesome. We had about 125 golfers.
Wow.
Yes, raised over $10,000 as part of that event. Very successful. We had a close run-in with the weather, but it stayed away. We heard one thunder boom out in the distance, but we were very
yeah, what could
fortunate.
possibly go wrong standing in a big open field with a giant metal stick over your head?
Yes, yeah, it was a little bit of anxiety there, but we got it done. And then we have this 5K at the end of September, followed by the marathon news in October. So I would say we haven't planned out our fundraisers for 2025 yet. We're going to see how things go and probably talk about it in January.
Yeah. Grants. So you're raising money. You said $10,000 from the golf tournament?
Yes.
And whatever you happen to get, I'm not going to ask you for any estimates right now, so whatever you raise from the 5K, where does that money go?
Yeah, so that goes to our grant program, which is fairly new to us. Like I said before, we were doing a lot of Best Buddies focused things, but the marathon allowed us to raise a lot more money than we had in the past to be able to formally put a grant program in place.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So
And that is specific to the James Gang?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So any individual or caretaker of an individual with intellectual disabilities, as well as recreation programs, camps, and day habs that service intellectually disabled individuals can apply for a grant. And we review that as a board. And if there's a fit, they're looking for something sports or recreation or enrichment related, and we have the funds to do so, we can provide them with that grant. So some of those things have been bringing in programming, where other of them may be bringing in a basketball hoop for participants to use, or bring in music therapy, something along those lines.
For grant applications, is there you do all of your grants on this particular day, or do you kind of evaluate throughout the year when applications may come in?
Yeah, so we'll evaluate them, generally when they come in.
Okay.
Again, the timing may be around our big fundraisers, which are the marathon, and then we're doing a few things this fall. So it depends on finances that are available. We are all volunteer-based, so there's no or very little overhead, if any at all. So it all goes to our grant program.
I just wasn't sure if you're okay, let's, at the end of the fiscal year, let's figure out how much money we have and get rid of it. But it's kind of a rolling basis.
It's rolling, yes.
Okay. Can someone reapply for a grant year after year, or is it a one and done type?
No, absolutely, they can reapply. And again, it depends on what it is exactly. But if there's an alignment between, what we're trying to bring in as an organization and what they're looking for, we're happy to do it year after year.
So some of the day programs that you help out with, is it still within the greater Burlington area?
Yeah. Like the one we've collaborated with is in Woburn. Next town over.
Cool.
Yep.
I think it was recently the I Can Swim program. Tell me how that developed and how you, just tell me about it.
Yeah, so James actually attends the Spectacular Saturdays that are put on by the Burlington Therapeutic Recreation Department.
Oh, okay.
So we knew some individuals, Emma, who is the director there.
Oh my gosh, she's awesome.
She is
She helped us
awesome.
with the big project
She is
earlier.
fabulous. So when we were able to obviously exceed our expectations of the past year's marathon, we realized we were going to be able to do some bigger things than we had in the past. Emma was aware of this I Can Shine program and presented us with the opportunity. So there was an I Can Bike option and an I Can Swim. We have strong ties to both of those things, as we discussed, riding and the 25-year bike thing. But my sister and I were competitive swimmers. I swam all through college. I taught swim lessons. We had a pool in our backyard. So it was really hard to pick between the two. They were actually able to bring both in, but we sponsored the I Can Swim.
Oh, fun.
We thought that was just a really, really good alignment for us. So that was a week-long camp. They had it at the Burlington Swim and Tennis Club.
Okay.
5 sessions a day with 3 to 5 participants in each session.
Okay.
So that program is specifically designed to teach those with disabilities water safety skills, to encourage independent movement in the water, and to just meet their individual swim goals, because they're at different abilities, right? Because we really found that there weren't a ton of swim lesson options for that particular population.
There aren't a lot of swim options
No.
in general.
No, I can attest to that as a mom. It's very competitive to get into any swim lesson, but it is such an essential skill for independence, to be safe around the water and to understand how to move around in it, right?
Yeah.
They even did a session on life jackets. How does a life jacket feel? How does it feel when you're in the water? And that's a very, very important
stuff that
skill we don't think about.
You don't think about.
No.
Now, did James do that?
So he did. He got to participate, and I think his highlight was the high fives, which is no surprise to any of us. He loved the attention, but he made tremendous progress that week as well. And we loved watching just the different groups and how they were on day 1 versus day 5.
Oh, wow.
Very rewarding.
Cool. If finances cooperate, do you think you might do that again?
I would love to do it again.
Or do you think you might go the cycling route?
I don't know. I mean, both are awesome. Very hard to decide. We did lean very heavily on the Burlington Rec Department for, coordination, and they really brought everything together. So if they are willing to do, that was a lot of work for them as well. So if they are willing, we would be willing to.
What kind of involvement beyond I Can Shine / I Can Swim have you done with the Burlington Rec Department, Parks and Rec?
That was our first program with them. Went for a big one on the first go around.
Go big, go.
As we like to do.
But has James or other people that you work with been through the therapeutic aspects of the rec department before?
Yeah, so he does their programming. They offer a Saturday, they call it Spectacular Saturdays.
Right, you mentioned that.
And they do bowling and Zumba and lunch. It's a very fun day, so he's been involved there.
Is that a year-round thing or just like a summer?
It's year-round. Not every Saturday, but different Saturdays. And then they do Friday out and about in the community, so going out to see shows, dinner. They do a Halloween dance. They do a really, really great job.
Fun. So let's back up. I know I'm bouncing all over the place. I think I just need a vacation. But your grants that the James Gang provides, what are some of the criteria for the applicants? We mentioned that it was like a year, a rotating basis, but do they specifically, does the applicant say we need X amount of dollars, or they're like, we want to do this program, and you're like, well, okay, we can't do the full program, but like the I Can Swim, we could do half of it.
Yes.
So how do you go about determining all of that?
Yeah, so I would say our only, hard criteria is that it has to service those with disabilities, specifically, intellectual disabilities, because we see a gap there. But as far as other criteria, again, it's very open.
Roughly how many applications have you gotten like this past year?
Yeah, so we've done, I think 4 or 5 different things within the past year and a half.
Gotta be hard to decide sometimes.
We've actually been fortunate to kind of be able to do everything that we've had on the table, because again,
I just wouldn't want to say no to anybody, especially given the mission of the organization.
Right.
You're like, this is a great idea.
So we've been very fortunate to not have to do that, but again, we're just small, and I don't know that many people know that they can come to us for this grant. Part of the reason why we're here, right, to spread awareness for that. We'll be at Truck Day on Sunday as well, talking about our organization, so we hope
Did you do the 4th of July parade?
We did not do the parade this year. Maybe next
Put
year.
it in your calendar for next year. It's a lot of fun.
So we hope to see even more applications, keep our
Okay.
momentum going with the fundraising, and be able to do even more things in the next year.
As you start promoting, I know you are starting out, and you've been on BCAT, you're here now. What are some of the other avenues or pathways that you've used to raise awareness to both the James Gang as an organization as well as your mission?
Yeah, so we have done, as you mentioned, BCAT. We got to do a little segment on Channel 5, which was very exciting, pre-marathon last year. And then we try to get involved in community events where we can. We're obviously doing Truck Day that we just talked about. We got to go into my daughter's Pine Glen kindergarten class and share about the marathon and the use of the Hoyt chair. So we kind of look for opportunities like that.
Because even if it's not raising funds, like going into your daughter's school, you're raising awareness for the the whole Best Buddies mission and how to work with, how to connect to individuals that may have disabilities.
Exactly. And the run, we really hope, while it is a fundraiser, a lot of the motivation there too is to be community engagement, to say this is who we are, this is what we do, and then of course to try to raise money on top of that.
And you just wear the sweatshirt everywhere
We
you go.
do. I actually have 3 of them so that I
different
can
colors?
rotate. No, they're all the same color.
Okay.
I do. That is a requirement around the marathon week. I told my whole family they need to keep their sweatshirt on the whole week.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned that you do have a lot of stuff going on between now and the end of the calendar year. How would someone go about participating in your golf tournament?
Yeah, so I think the best way to do that is
I know we're backwards.
That's okay. To follow us on social media. So we have a Facebook and an Instagram page. And we try to post there as much as we can, especially for events that we're involved in, and updates on events. And then we have our website as well that we will post when we're ready for the golf tournament. So we would love, again, golfers, sponsors, and volunteers are always welcome.
Fun. Where's the golf tournament?
So we've held it at the Ferncroft Country Club for the past 2 years.
Where is that?
That is in Middleton.
Okay. I don't golf, so
I don't either.
drive by a couple of golf courses on my way to work, but
It looks very nice.
It
I've
looks
heard it's a great
nice.
course, but I can't speak to it personally.
when you are not planning 5Ks or golf tournaments or Best Buddy things, are you looking for just like volunteers?
Yeah,
in general?
we are definitely looking for people with expertise. So we don't run our own programming yet or operate our own programming. Love to get there at some point, but we are still a little too small. But expertise in nonprofit management, expertise in fundraising and event planning, we would welcome with open arms.
Cool. And there's an opportunity on the website to learn more of how to get involved?
Yes, yep, and an email address there as
And you're
well.
not necessarily demanding a specific time commitment?
Nope, absolutely not.
Just, we'll take help, I love it. Where do you hope to be in a year from now?
That's also a great question. I hope that we can keep the momentum going. We have had a fabulous end of 2023 and 2024, especially, I know we owe a lot of that to the Boston Marathon. So I hope that we can keep that going, keep the fundraising going, and get to do more grants and more community events.
Fun. What kind of events would you like to do? Because, we still have like 10 minutes left, so I'm just like, went through my questions.
So I'd love to do another 5K if this one is successful. We have talked for years about doing some sort of celebration. Like I said, we have been participating in Best Buddies for 25 years. We have had people that have supported us for so long. And James is just such a positive individual that we we want to think of a creative kind of community event that brings all of that together,
Okay.
to thank everyone that has supported us and to continue to
Kind of like
fundraise
your
and
own
grow.
version of like Celebrate Burlington, but
Yes,
just like
yes.
your own happy family.
Exactly.
What is, yeah, I'm out of questions, so I'm just gonna wing it at this point. So if I ask something that I shouldn't be, just feel free to say, oh, I don't want to answer that. Best memory of anything that you've done with the James King?
Oh, that is so hard.
Well, maybe not the best memory, a good memory.
A good memory. I mean, I want to give it to the Boston Marathon because that was, I mean, just something that is incredible, right? Anyone that
Okay.
runs it, to see them out there as a duo team. But seeing Liam complete that marathon in Hingham, we had a little, we called it a pit crew, that went out because it was a 4-mile loop that he did 6 times. So we actually saw him 12 times over the course because it passed in the same point in the middle.
Oh,
So
okay.
we stood there with bananas, water. Every single one of us was holding something different, and poor Liam probably just wanted us to get out of his way so he could run, and we're just offering him all different things. We had some people that had runners finish that actually ended up staying with us to
Oh,
watch Liam and cheer
wow.
for him to finish. So that moment just stands out so much in my mind. I can't even imagine trying to do that. So the fact that he was so determined to give James an opportunity to be in Boston was incredible.
That is amazing. Okay, I'm just like thinking back to when I used to volunteer at the Boston Marathon. The elite runner, or the wheelchair runners, have a certain starting time. And then the elite runners. What types of accommodations are made for the team runners, the dual runners?
Yes. So the duo teams actually start about 10 minutes before the elite men and 15 minutes before the elite women.
Okay.
So the field size is only about 12 to 13 duo teams.
Okay.
So it's actually a random lottery, which I didn't talk about. So his marathon was just a chance to enter the lottery. It wasn't even a surefire
Okay.
in, so even more impressive. So they start before them, and then they get passed by the elite runners, which Liam shared was pretty incredible as well, to see them thundering by.
Which I'm sure, but I'm just, envisioning like photos and videos you see of the starting line where it's just like
Yep, so
packed.
they just start just them, just the 13 duo
'cause
teams.
I would not want to have a
No.
wheelchair, because you said it's like huge.
It's very long.
And I would not want to be surrounded by, 50,000 of my
No,
closest friends.
No, so they do very strategically let them go first, let them be passed, rather than them trying to run around and maneuver around other people. And the rest of the field, I think after the elite runners, it's about 45 minutes after they start, so it
Okay.
gives them a chance to get a distance, so they're never in that really packed crowd.
Okay, because I would not want to do
No.
that.
It's difficult to push. So I have the chair at my house right now, and we
Okay.
have it out on the front lawn promoting the 5K with a little Halloween spin on it. But I have trouble pushing it in between my cars to wheel it in and out every day because I don't want to leave it out at night. And I, every time, picture, how do you run with this
Well, you're
chair?
not doing too many corners during a marathon.
True,
so-
true, but still, just worrying about other people. It's not that hard to steer. I mean, it's very hard to steer.
I remember when our kids were really little, I had a dual stroller, and I felt like I was pushing a freight train.
Yep.
So I can't imagine.
No,
Wow.
No, and I have nothing in it when I'm wheeling it in and out of my house, and I still think it's difficult to
And you
steer.
have to add like a whole person.
So I can't imagine adding a whole person and taking it around those turns.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't know if they're still as popular today, but I'm just kind of like brainstorming. Remember the color runs?
Yes.
Would you ever want to do a color run?
We have talked about, so we said first 5K, we've got to keep it pretty simple, right? We've got to
Okay.
figure out the process. But we said next year we would love to add a really fun element, especially for kids, because we have a lot of families with kids that come out. And they used to do a little lap around the school for the 5K they
Yes.
used to have in the spring. So we were wondering, like, can we do some fun little lap around the school for maybe both kids and adults. So we are open to suggestions there as well. Anyone listening has some
Because
cool
the chalk
ideas.
can be messy. It's not
Yes.
permanent, but it can be messy.
Yeah, we thought, I don't know, running around and eating donuts at different stops, or I don't know, a water gun thing. I don't know. Just brainstorming.
So that could be fun. What am I missing? What am I missing? Let's talk about the 5K again, because we talked about it like 20 minutes ago.
Sure.
And we want it to be fresh in everybody's mind.
Yes, yes.
So
I
it
would say
starts, it's September.
Sunday, September 29th.
Okay.
The race itself starts at 9:30, starting at the high school and ending at the high school. So plenty of parking.
Okay.
Route that I think many are familiar with, up Lexington Street and coming up Sunset Drive into the high school.
Okay.
And we're going to have professional chip timing from RaceWire.
That's what I wanted to ask you.
Yep, we have
Keep going.
professional chip timing. We have professional photos at the finish line. We have an MC playing music and announcing people coming in. We have a refueling station from Wegmans with granola bars, bananas, waters. We also have some donuts that have been donated from Kim's Donuts. So you can refuel whichever way you feel appropriate.
Back in those
after the
carbs,
5K.
man.
And we'll have race T-shirts, and we just hope it's a fun day, fun event. Welcome walkers and runners, so you don't have to be an avid, very fast runner. Come out and walk with us or cheer. We're happy to have you there.
Could somebody purchase swag if they're not running? Like, could they get a T-shirt?
I haven't set up for that, but if you are interested, yeah.
Just like it's all about the, it's all about the T-shirt.
It is. The
So-
free T-shirt.
And you
Run for
did
the
say
free
BCAT's
T-shirt.
covering it too, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
I believe you guys are going to be there, or you're welcome
I
to be
gotta
there.
ask,
We'd love you to have you
I don't
there.
know, I'm just a volunteer. So with the chip timing, how does that work?
That's a great question. So we picked a chip timing system, RaceWire,
Okay.
and they will handle all that. So you get
So
a
that's
bib
like you
number.
put a chip on your, like the little microchip on your shoe or something?
No,
or-
so it's part of a bib number.
part of
so
the
when
bib
you
now.
so when
Oh,
you
okay.
race, you get a bib and a bib number, and they keep track of when that crosses the finish line, and they will rank people as appropriate.
Ah.
We also have a teams option, so we're not giving out prizes. We're giving out prizes to top 3 men and women. But we do have teams, and we're going to kind of, I think, do something a little fun with that. So if you're thinking about joining and you want to create a little
Oh,
team.
no, I'm not running anywhere. I
You
just
can
had knee
walk.
surgery a month
come
ago.
walk.
I'm not running anywhere.
You can create a team and join that as well, and we will
Now,
acknowledge.
do the teams have to have cool names?
It's preferable. You don't have to, but cool
Okay.
names always make it more fun. And we'll probably do a shout out to the team that gets the most participants, and then the team with maybe the top 3 fastest times.
Because I was going to ask, most participants, is there like a limit?
There is no limit. There's no limit.
Exciting. Oh, wait, Lexington Street. You don't use the main entrance to the high school to get to Lexington Street, or am I like?
Yeah, so you will run out up 3A, and you'll
Okay.
turn at Simons Park. You'll turn left,
Okay.
and then you turn left onto Lexington
Yeah.
Street, and you run all the way down to Stony Brook.
Oh, okay.
And then Mildred, and then Sunset. And Sunset at the very end, it's a dead end, but it has a little path that leads up to the back way on the high school.
That's where that is.
Yeah,
Because
so-
I know from the school, I'm like, wonder where that is.
So my mom and I ran the route with James this past Saturday so that we could iron out any bugs.
Okay.
And we thought we were pretty much done when we came up that path, but you're not quite done yet.
Oh, because you still have to go back to
you
the,
still have
is
to
it
run all the way around.
to like Varsity Field or
No, back up to the cafeteria.
cafeteria?
So, I mean, it's not
There's
tremendously
plenty
far.
of hills just on,
There are
around
some
the
good
high
hills
school.
there at the very end. So I would say it's relatively flat, but the end unfortunately does have a little challenge.
Okay.
And you're a little farther away than you think you are. I think it's about another quarter of a mile even when you're in the high school path.
I believe that.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And a little bit of a hill.
So is that like exactly 5K or is it, because like
is.
the marathon's 26.2
It is. It
miles.
is 3.1. It is a certified course. So if
Oh,
people are
okay.
looking to have some, PRs, it is a certified course.
Do you think it's, when it becomes annual, are you going to stick to a fall time or are you entertaining the ideas of maybe doing a fall and a spring, but the spring gets close to the marathon.
It does, and I think it's difficult. As we saw this past year, we got a snowstorm in April, so I think New England presents a real challenge with the weather. Yep, and then you get late fall, you get a lot of leaves on the sidewalk that are slippery, and you don't know when you're going to get your first snow and your last snow. So,
True.
and then the summer can get unbearably
summer's just
hot,
brutal.
as we felt this past July with the
Oh my
95 degrees. So, I'm not sure. It's either got to be fall or spring, but
Okay.
we'll see how it goes.
All right. Any other big events that you might think about doing in the future? As long as it's fun, right?
Yes, as long as
Okay.
it's fun. Well, we are also involved with the Rory Bell Foundation.
Oh,
which
yeah, I completely forgot to talk about that.
I did as well. So the Rory Bell Foundation was founded by two moms of children with NARS1, and they have made incredible progress in the past few years. And I now sit on the board for that organization as well.
Okay.
So I do see some collaboration with events coming there.
How did you find out about the Rory Bell Foundation?
Yeah, so after he got his diagnosis, I actually went on Facebook and I Googled NARS1. And I found this group who had been started by this mom. And her background is actually in clinical pharmacy, which a great fit, right, for doing research into a genetic condition. And she, after having her daughter and her daughter receiving her diagnosis, changed careers to work in the rare disease world. So
wow.
she is an invaluable asset. And she participates in conferences, and she's brought in board members with, clinical and medical background as well. She's connected us to the researchers that discovered the gene over in the UK. So I see definitely some potential for some collaborative events. They actually came out, a few board members, to watch James run in the marathon, and we had a blast. We got
And
to
where are
meet
they
them
located?
in person. So they are all over.
Okay.
Rachel is in Denver. We have another board member in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
another one in Minnesota. So we're
Okay.
spread all over. Yep.
I didn't realize it was like huge.
Well, because
so-
there's only about 10 individuals with NARS1 in the U.S., and I
Okay.
don't think any of us live in the same state.
Well, considering the population, is, it's kind of rare for everybody.
Right. So an event that brings all of us together, and then we're also we have a board member in Ireland as well. So
Oh, wow.
we are all over. So an event that brings all of us together and does some fundraising would be incredible too.
Wow. Cool. So is there a link to the Rory Bell Foundation from
Our
your
website, yes, there is. So you can access that, and they have a ton of very specific information about NARS1 and the science behind it, which I will not try to speak to.
Yeah.
They do a much better explanation than
Which
me.
is good because we finally are at a time. You did good, Stalling. But no, it's like, oh my gosh, your energy is amazing. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how the James Gang progresses in whatever you decide to do.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank
Let me
you for
spread awareness.
And I also want to thank everyone at home for tuning in this evening. I hope you are as excited about checking out Truck Day, checking out the James Gang, checking out the 5K on September 29th, and building a better community. So thank you very much for tuning in. Have a wonderful evening. I will see you around town. Good night.